where I had spent all the fruitful years of my career as well as a person. And I am glad to see the big row of portraits there. I also sit there. And some of the people are no more, some of my senior colleagues, my professors, and rest are around. And we have now a team of faculty in this department, which I would say are far more enterprising than we were, for several reasons. But we were in this department. Money was the scarcest thing that was around. No money. Now we are in a new domain. The whole country is, and the university is, there is no scarcity for money. So many things have happened. And this campus has a very high level of instrumentation for people who would want to do geochemistry. And to begin with, I will say, if you did well in geochemistry, then you can fit into practically any branch of geology, with the exception of petroleum geology. There also geochemistry and geostatistics have played a great role in isolating where you have potential oil, where you have real oil deposit. So, I will thank Professor Pradeep for having offered this session, for inviting me over here and talk to you, the young friends. Now, I chose this topic. I chose this topic because yesterday or today and today, the local language ladies have been talking about Adani port, bringing in stones, rock. One shipload from Gujarat and another shipload from Thoothukudi. If you go to the Adani website, Millennium Container Port website, you will see a mention that the breakwater there would need 5 trillion cubic feet of stones. And I took up this topic to present some of the points we have to keep in mind while supporting or opposing, or I don't know, that kind of attitude when quarrying and mining are discussed about. You know, I would say quarry is a Pariya word, P-A-R-I-H-Y-A, Pariya word. Whereas mining is a noble class word. Because you are talking about gold, you are talking about silver, you are talking about such other material which fetch per unit very high value compared to the poor rock material. Without the rock, without the rock products, without material we win from the lower crust or the middle crust of the earth, there will not be any civilization. There will not be, we could not go to Greek civilization to see in person the rudiments of Greek civilization or any modern masterpiece like the building in Dubai, all are completely to the extent of 80% constructed out of material that is which I call lithogenic domain. From lithogenic domain, we have a biogenic domain coexisting with the lithogenic domain. So this is the reason. The coexistence of bio domain with litho domain is the reason for the objection or for that matter the support or whatever in respect of quarry and mining. Quarry and mine are one and the same. Only difference is the quarries produce of the cheapest of all material from the surface, whereas the mines produce very expensive material. So, this is a very interesting picture. Now we talk of blue economy. If you not heard of what blue economy is, please go to Google and find out what blue economy is. This is called the blue marble by NASA. This is a shot, not one. This is not the only one. These are one of the several shots by the Apollo 17 crew of the Earth. I tried to get a picture of the India side of the hemisphere, blue marble, but it was difficult because there is a huge cloud cover. So what you see is, here on the screen is what is called Africa, the continent called Africa. Why is this? Why this picture? I placed the picture here because I want to impress upon you that the Earth system is unique. Whether you are in the northern continents or the southern continents or one of the islands. The Earth system is unique and very special because we have an atmosphere, we have a carbon, nitrogen, then carbon dioxide, oxygen, and so on, which help us live. All the living beings exist in the hydrosphere and the lithosphere or the Earth surface because of the advantage we have with the atmosphere. This is a very old sense. Way back in 1972, this picture was commissioned or published by National Geographic magazine. It was created by two geophysicists, Bruce Eason and Mary Tharp of Columbia University, New York. And it was actually both hemispheres and all the continents showing the bottom topography and to some extent the continental topography. And here I have put this just to give you a picture of the continental shelf and how it is different in the east coast and west coast. You have the Bengal deep sea fan. It is a source of roughly 16 kilometers of sediment sitting in the Bengal deep sea fan, and the tip on the toe of the fan goes beyond the southern latitude of Sri Lanka. Whereas if you go to the east coast, this is relatively wider, this continental shelf, and Bombay High will be somewhere there. Keep in mind one thing, think of a situation, if India were to not import, like America is now doing, any oil from outside, how different your life, my life, and every neighbor's life would have been in the country. Because 23% of the indigenous need of oil and gas are only met by Indian sources. The remainder we are importing is the biggest expenditure, second only probably to India's defense budget. And that is the exact reason that we are okay, what is the point there? These are also oil, gas are also part of the lithogenic resources. So you look at your energy footprint for one day, and if you carefully examine what are the levels of consumption of the lithogenic resources, you will be stunned to notice that without lithogenic resources, we would have been like animals. Look at this hall. You have a clay vitrified tile, concrete beams, and mud, red brick walls, and steel. Then of course look at all the other gadgets. So if you say no to lithogenic, for example, let me ask you this question. Suppose the Oil and Natural Gas Corporation, by some new technology, discovers petroleum in this campus. Do you think the Geology Department, Kariavattom campus will exist here? The first thing the government will order is quit. We can always go and do a strike there in the main gate. I have done it as a teacher for different reason. But it will not be of any use because the country needs its petroleum resource. And as a old fellow, I don't have any kind of thinking that India will ever become self-sufficient and at least even be able to provide 50% of our needs. It will not happen. This is a periodic table you won't be able to read from biodiversity. My simple question is, outside of the gases, what else you get anywhere else from the lithosphere, the crust of rock, the mines? Of course, your nitrogen is in the atmosphere, carbon dioxide is in the atmosphere, oxygen is in the atmosphere. Beyond that, everything else we have to look down. So if you said you cannot mine, you cannot quarry, you are living in a different paradise. But this is another road. But still, where you are, even I cannot read it within issue. This is a axiom that I happen to remember during my reading. If you cannot buy it or grow it, you will have to mine it. Period. No doubt. Well, when I was asked by Professor Pradeep, he suggested, sir, you talk about quarries. Well, I have a specialized knowledge about quarries because in 2008, the state government had appointed a committee, me as the chairman, and 5 other brilliant other people, including a soil chemist, hydrogeologist, geologist, etc. We were required by the government how to reuse the abandoned quarries. So these pictures are some of the, definitely they are scars on the earth's surface, no doubt about it. But even a scarred face can be made up to look a little better. Unfortunately, what our quarry owners, operators, and miners to some extent do is ignore the making up of the scarred area to appear as little more pleasant. Because all that matters is the purse is the matter. They don't want to spend any money to make a good appearance. For example, look at the campus. If you look at the campus, everybody, this is summer time. We are in the peak of summer, so almost all the plants have, seasonal plants are dead. So it looks clean. But come during the monsoon, after the monsoon time, it will be all green. And of course, treacherous and hazardous also. Okay, look at this. This is a very interesting quarry. This quarry has been a very important reason for Dr. Santosh, because he had made a remarkable proposal accepted by the world in respect of origin of this type of rock, Tamanite. And look at the white stripes. My late friend, Mr. Krishnanath, who is the third portrait over there, we used to take our class together in the early days to the same place. Krishnanath then used to say, I can see Charnakai under making and Charnakai under breaking. But Mr. Krishnanath did not get the credit for that work because he only hypothesized, whereas Dr. Santosh, did the work and told the world, well, this is making and this is breaking. It is a abandoned quarry. On the road is the main central road, MC road. Location is before Kariavattom. Sorry. Okay. This is a quarry which we call a L-shaped quarry. Capital letter L. This is a flooded quarry somewhere in Tiruvalla on our way to the east side of MC road. And this is what we call the U-shaped quarry. You go dig deep. So here what happens, this is in Malappuram district somewhere. Eastern part of Malappuram district. This is from our way to Kovalam. If you go into Kovalam International Beach, there is a lookout point, and to your left side, there will be this water-filled area. And then this is a water-filled quarry. No, water-filling quarry in Kerala is nothing new because we are sitting in a monsoon climate. So even if you use that, you will be drenched with water. So this is a quarry. Okay, all these pictures were taken roughly during summer. And it also tells us that the quarry basins are very tight. Okay, this is you can recognize this is a Google image. This is your road to Nuvatugura. And this is another again aerial view, satellite view you say. No, I would not call it a satellite view, I will call it a Google seat. Because Google may use for aerial photos and satellites in combination. That is a specialty of the Google. This is actually something very interesting. This is not the old code. And I think it is called a Pirinjanam. And it is actually, it was a quarry, but now it is, has been converted to a place where we can do creative work. These tile roof, these buildings are places for rent or are free of course, whatever, where people go, sit and do their creativity, bring out their creativity, art or music or whatever. And somewhere here you can still see the quarry, water-filled quarry. And this is perhaps the only example in Kerala where a used quarry has been rehabilitated. And also, okay, beyond these hills, you have what is, you don't have to go beyond. At the end of the quarry, in the distance, the background, you have the Kuttiyadi river. And when you go from Old Koda something like 28 miles north, there is a level cross, you go across and you reach there. The quarry was opened to when the British government decided to build the railroad to Mangalavaram. So, India is one of those countries with a very long kilometer or mileage of railroads. And remember, even if you oppose quarry, the rails will have to go, trains will have to run. And once every 3 years, all that ballast, the stone, the railway track is called ballast. These stones will have to be checked for the wear and tear. Own pieces will be thrown and they will pack it with new. So that passengers, goods, everybody will be safe. And we are now in the semi-fast railroad era. Now, we have fast trains. One or two are introduced between Lucknow and New Delhi or whatever. Those trains need much more safer track, which are placed in concrete sleepers over again ballast. Where do you put ballast? Where do you put stones? What's the reason? Because even if there is a cloud burst, the ballast will not be eroded off and the railroad will be still safer for traffic. That is the reason. Well, when you go to Malabar, there are umpteen examples of such landscape. And what they have done, Malappuram is the type area of laterites. And Malabar, the depth of weathering is even 30 or 40 meters. And we have such thick layers of laterite. And the laterite was, from the very early days, #1 building material in Malabar. And this even today continues to be so. But now there is opposition to people who have already built their houses opposing operation of such quarries. See, Palam Kadambo, philosophy. All these people, name any environmentalist. I am not saying an environmental scientist. We have to make a big distinction between an environmentalist and an environmental scientist. This is actually an operating quarry in Thrivikramji. Dr. Rai Charco was there, in the portrait gallery. And Charco and I, together with the class on that year, we went to this place. So this is where all the rock is coming, broken rock is coming from, the quarry operated by popes, POADS. We hate all those rich people, right? We don't want Adani, we don't want Reliance, but we want Geo. That's the difference. Geo is my purse, but the other is the corporate capitalist. But he does not exercise capital punishment. So this is what? This is a crushing plant where you get coarse aggregate 25 mm, fine aggregate 2 mm, which is equivalent of metal 25 mm, sand 2 mm. That is what is used in all the high-rise buildings. There are people who oppose high-rise buildings until they are able to buy one for themselves. In a crowded country like India, in a crowded state like India, it is always advisable and beneficial to the environment if you went up. Instead of building one story, sprawling. There is a building by that has what is called Padinaru Nadu that money would have been spent in, like building what Mukesh Ambani did in a small area, 7 floors. We have our choice and freedom to build the home of our own choice. Government, no constitutional bar is there. So keep that in mind. So I am not saying Mukesh Ambani is plus, but from a point of view, yes, I would say Mukesh Ambani was better compared to Mr. Whoever is Kasturi Pankaj. See, this is a delta, portion of a delta. And the human figure there is my wife. Year is 1973. Location is in the suburb of Syracuse University, 5 miles to the east of, if I said the east, west, it doesn't matter to you. Anyway, it is a delta, Look at the delta, look at the size of the stones. This is a glacial dam, burst delta. A glacial tip which has stones of all sizes. And the dam that formed behind the glacial tip in upstate New York, it gave way at some point and created this delta. And I always felt that those guys at the upper latitudes in the northern hemisphere are always luckier because they make all their metal, all their coarse aggregate and fine aggregate by crushing these stones. They don't have to go, in this part of United States, they don't have to go quarrying, drilling, blasting. Instead, it is already provided for in smaller sizes. These are some examples. All are using stone. These are dressed stones. And here, this is even today practiced in Kerala. In the sense, go dive down under water, grab a basket of sand, just to provide a food for the members in the family. Okay? This was a vocation which was given tacit approval by the authorities. I did a study in 1983-86 as to how a river basin will be impacted by human activity. This is one of the things. In 86 we finalized the report, and item 11 of the report is ban mining of sand, removal of sand from river channels. I have also an incident. I was visiting Canada on a field trip with in connection with this one of the projects. And I was curious about these people who died down, and one man came forward and said, do you think if I had any other option, I would have gone underwater to collect a basket of sand? Look at my eardrum is broken because of the pressure, exposure to deeper water and pressure. And this man was saying, sir, all the people who work and make a living, they have blown at least one eardrum. When I'm talking about the 80s, it is unlike whatever you see now. But unfortunately, we practice the very same thing in Malabar. And there is a government agency and a district administration that recommends removal of sand. There are agencies who recommend removal of X number of tons of sand. And keep in mind, 1 cubic meter of rock to undergo chemical weathering takes 1 million years. And in a cubic meter of rock, you have only 30% of sand grade material. Under 1% of accessory minerals, rutile, ilmenite, zircon, sillimanite, monazite, garnet, biotite, some pyroxene. And the remainder, in between quartz and the accessory, is all feldspar, clay. So, at the rate at which we were removing sand from rivers, channels, never paid any scientific heed to the rate of formation of sand. This is our reptile house. This is the, what is this? This is the palace in Kovalam. Now it is sold to somebody by the government. Because whatever belongs to the Maharaja, it belongs to the government and the government can sell it, okay? But if you went there, this is in a dilapidated condition. Of course, these pictures are, decades old pictures. This is the highway in the state of Kansas, United States. India is trying to build such roads, not exactly similar roads. You know the advantage? The advantage is plain and simple. Surface transport is fast. You save time. If you think time is money, yes, that is the only justification for building a highway like this. And Mr. Verma was talking about the pipeline, etc. Americans use what is called a system Arnold, A-R-N-O-L-D. I asked the student what Arnold. Sir, Arnold Schwarzenegger? I said no. American Road Organization something. Verma was talking about where to put new paint, where to change the wall. There is what is called a linear referencing, one of the tools in GIS. In other words, if you did a linear referencing based on mapping, there is an origin and a destination. Then the advantage is, you can see in the screen on which date, in front of the Kariavattom campus, the road was given a new coat of bitumen. Bitumen means tar. Bituminous concrete, I should say. So, in other words, if you want to maintain for a better service, for profit and efficiency, we have to go for technologies like GIS. There is no other way. And you can look at this. This is a concrete road. In India, for every 1 square kilometer, there is 1.5 kilometer of road. Only thing is, that will include the roads in campus also. The quality of the roads in the campus. At least they are not potholed. The reason is very simple. It is not potholed because, what is the reason? There is free flow of water. Wherever water gets accumulated, obviously there will be potholes. Look at this stone paved footpath. This is the West Fort. You know this building, probably you won't know. This is one of the buildings that the Kim's hospital has built. But tell me, what is the material which had not come from the surface of the earth, crust of the earth? On this Napier Museum, yeah, we all enjoy it. The nice building. It's a heritage building, yes. If you wanted to make a heritage building like Hava Mahal, or Rashtrapati Bhavan, or Parliament House, or Agra Fort, you have to go for Vindhyan sandstones. Without that, you won't be able to build. Or if you wanted to go build another Taj Mahal, or Victoria Memorial, the British man's Taj Mahal in Calcutta, you have to go for Rajasthan Mountain. No cannot have the cake and eat it. Either have the cake or eat it. But the fact that we are brilliant, people are using their brains, people are thoughtful, people can think about new things and visualize, means we can do justice to our biosphere also, biogenic resources, no doubt. Unfortunately, when it comes to doing justice to biogenic resources, our first thing we do is we make a flex and make slogans. That is not what is required. Incidentally, NASA reported that after the Paris Convention, India and China are greener than they were in the past. India became greener because we have intensive farming. New areas have been brought under crop. China became greener because they